Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's been quite a day. Beautiful Saturday. It's too bad that we're not able to do this together on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, I have to start this conversation with you and with this body by saying I have to vote no on this particular bill. We need to vote no on this particular bill. Now, I'll back that up a little bit. Before I do, I just want to say thank you to the good gentleman from the 34th. I appreciate his passion. I appreciate his dedication to the subject matter. I appreciate his persistence over the last several years. Persistence that is magnified by so many that we've also seen here today. Members who work in various policy sections that have exhibited that same manner of persistence when they're working on their particular policies. This particular policy, Madam Speaker, we've heard it. We've heard it over and over and over again today. The cost. Now, I know we've also heard the cost, as in the cost to our environment, the cost to future generations. And I get that. I, along with every member in this body, wants to make sure that our future generations are protected. Our future generations have a better life than what we have today. That's the goal of every parent, is to make sure that our kids have it better than we did. My parents were that way for me. I'm sure everybody in this body feels the same way. And I've heard lots of those stories of the future generation being concerned. But Madam Speaker, I'm concerned about our generation today. I'm concerned about people today in the state of Washington. I'm concerned about the priorities of this body. I drove in on my way to work today, my office here where I'm coming to you live from, and I drove by homeless camp after camp after camp. These camps have spread. The ecological damage they're doing, the environmental damage they're doing, not to mention the human toll that is just astronomical. The cost is astronomical to the human toll, but you can't escape the environmental damage that's being done. And I know it's a microcosm maybe of a bigger issue, but it made me think about it. It made me think about what are our priorities right now. We're dealing with COVID, we're dealing with the economy, we're dealing with so many crises our state is dealing with on a daily basis. I can't even keep track. Madam Speaker, today it seems like this topic is the overarching, the biggest of them all. And if we don't pass this bill, we fail. I just can't agree with that, Madam Speaker. I can't agree with the fact that the low carbon fuel standard is going to save the world because we enacted it here in Washington State. I look around the world, I see all the other countries that are polluting, and I just say, what are we doing here? We've got to do this in Washington State. The people of Washington State have to pay for this. Madam Speaker, more so, I just think about our priorities. And I can't escape the cost. I can't escape the cost for the people of the state of Washington. What the individuals that you've heard, the stories you've heard, are going to have to pay. You can't ignore that. We keep talking about California and Oregon and British Columbia like they're just amazing things they've done. Well, maybe they have done some great things, but you can't escape the cost. And one stat will tell you, oh, it hasn't done anything to California. California is a victim of its own policies. You know, I was reading about the wildfires, and yeah, they have been horrific in California. But you know, one of the causes of those wildfires, one of the worst in history, the Paradise Fire, tragic fire, was caused by a down power grid, sparking power lines. You know what those power lines? 100-year-old power grid. A power grid so failing that it was causing fires all over. It was sparking the dry earth in the middle of summer in California and causing fires. Did it again. Most of those fires that were caused down there were either man-made or caused by this grid. You know why that grid is suffering is because all those resources by policy and regulation have been poured into the green infrastructure, the next generation of power production down there instead of maintaining the infrastructure that they have. We have to think about these costs. We have to think about intended and unintended costs. We're being asked in the state of Washington with this policy to advance even faster than California is doing, almost twice as fast to get to those goals. I appreciate the good gentleman from the 34th. Yeah, time is of the essence around his argument. But I also think about that advanced cost of pushing to get to those goals. What's it going to mean for the people of Washington? How much more is it going to add to a gallon of gas? How much more is it going to add to the food we eat? You can't escape that in every argument we talk about when we talk about regulations and the policies that we do in this body. Our housing crisis, you pick one. Everything we do adds a cost. Some are justified, some we just look at in various ways, but you can't escape that. And this policy will add a cost, a direct cost. So much for that we learned from the past. We have transportation issues in this state. We have infrastructure, maintenance, preservation. We have all sorts of things that we have to deal with. It takes revenue to do that. 2015, they saw the same thing. They were so concerned about the low carbon fuel standard back then that you heard about the deal that was put together because they were afraid that it would impact their ability to pass a revenue package. Well, guess what? We're talking about a revenue package again, several of them, to deal with our infrastructure, to deal with everything about transportation. And when you add in those taxes, those direct taxes, and then you talk about the low carbon fuel standard and what it's going to, the same type of conversations are happening, the same type of deal is happening right now. But yet, here we are debating, probably going to pass this particular policy. And that's why you hear the numbers of 60, 70, $1 a gallon. That is significant direct cost. A few more things, Madam Speaker. You know, I am not going to deny there's great jobs coming. Why would we want to not acknowledge innovation and entrepreneurship and all the great jobs that are being created throughout the state? But I temper that with reality. And the reality is we've seen what it takes to permit, to get through our own environmental, our own regulatory burden, to get anything completed in the state of Washington. So great for the good gentleman in the 24th. I'm glad that he has a success story. It's one of a few. But we have to remember about picking winners and losers. And I think as we look towards the future of some of these innovative ones, who gets left behind? Think back to the good gentleman's district in the 24th, the 19th, the 20th. All of these that have been impacted by reforms, by policies passed out of this very chamber that change things, the way we do our timber industry, the way we do all sorts of other industries. Those districts are still waiting for those jobs to come back. They're still waiting, Madam Speaker. Winners and losers. We'll see them with this policy. Will it have a great impact on our earth? Will it have a great impact on lowering our reduction? Well, I guess we'll see. Maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to make some adjustments along the way. Some of those amendments would have done that. At the end of the day, Madam Speaker, I think we can do better. And I know with somebody as smart as the good gentleman from the 34th, the energy that he's put in this, I know that there's other policies, there's other things that we can look at that won't have as much impact as this particular policy will have. I think we can do better, Madam Speaker. I ask this body to consider that today. With all of the things that you've heard over the last several hours, all of the things that will impact the people of the state of Washington, I think we can do better. Madam Speaker, let's vote no on this policy today. Let's vote no on this bill today. Let's do better for the people of the state of Washington now and in the future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.